Hey everybody, welcome back. Happy Monday. Tack för sist. Välkommen tillbaka. So, sorry, I'm back in my hotel. I need to sit on the bed to do this one. My back's kind of bothering me. But, last night I said I did the kind of just fun one, back to the 80s video. And I said I was going to save the more serious one for tonight. It's pretty heavy. Why do people use that term? Is everything really heavy in the future? Has gravity changed? Remember that from back in Back to the Future? Oh man. Anyway, yeah. So I think about this a lot because I used to be in the Mormon Church, but this doesn't just happen in that church. This happens in other churches, and I've never understood it. And that's excommunication. Now, the only way I would ever understand that is somebody's kicked out, they're kicked out. I have literally known people that have been excommunicated 2 and 3 times. And they just keep coming back. And if you're not familiar with what that is, at least in the Mormon Church, it basically means you're not a member anymore. You're kicked out of the church. There's what's called disfellowshipped, and then there's excommunication. Disfellowshipped, I mean, what a horrible word, but it means you're still a member, but you're kind of on probation. Excommunicated, you're out. And I have known people that have, been excommunicated twice, and even a dude I know 3 times. Now, what I don't understand is if some organization boots you out and says they don't want you to be part of it anymore, why would you go back? I have never understood that. I've never been called in for anything since I left the church. And frankly, if they called me, I'd tell them to pound sand anyway. But I wouldn't go into a meeting where I know there's a chance they're going to excommunicate me and boot me out of the church. I think it's, I don't know. If an organization did, like I said, if they did it to me, I'd just be done. I wouldn't go back. I wouldn't try to get back again. But I wanted to, anyway, so yeah, I don't understand the concept. I don't understand unless somebody's just, evil, they're a murderer, or, they kidnap kids, or, something crazy, then I understand. I mean, they should be in prison, but yeah, you don't want them part of your organization. But to just throw somebody out because they had an affair. I mean, I don't condone affairs, don't get me wrong. I think you're a bad person if you're having an affair and you're supposed to be faithfully married. But to throw them out of the church for that, I don't really get that. I don't think he'd mind me saying, I have a brother that was it wasn't a bishopric, it was in a branch presidency. A branch is like a smaller group of people. And, people have to go into their bishop or branch president and confess if they do something wrong. And I won't go into details because I don't think it's fair to the church. I think some people that do this are worse than others. And I think there are plenty that have good intentions and good hearts. But he had to sit on several when specifically like a young woman, a 14, 15, 16-year-old young woman would come in to confess some sort of sexual sin. And I think they've changed it now. I'm sorry I'm hesitating, but it baffled me then. It still baffles me. I think they've changed it. I don't think a young girl can go in and sit with, a 40, 50, 70-year-old man and confess. I think she's allowed to have somebody with her now. But back then, that's how it was. And I know my brother said he got disgusted, and part of the reason he left was because of this. He said, you could tell there were guys that were, I don't want to get crude or coarse, but they were into they were into it. Let's just leave it at that. You know what I'm talking about. And like I said, I don't think most men in the Mormon Church like that. I think most of them are good people. But I had a horrible bishop when I was young. I thought he was a weirdo. I don't know that he ever did anything crazy. I won't say his name because, well, there's no point. He passed away many years ago. But he just wasn't a nice guy. When you'd go in, you know, when you're grow up Mormon, when you're 12 as a boy, you become a deacon. At 14, you become what's called a teacher. And at 16, you become a priest. Very different things than like the Catholic Church or something. I'm not trying to compare. I'm just saying what they are. When you're 18, you can become an elder. But for every one of those callings, you have to go in for an interview and talk about it. And if you've done something wrong, you got to confess. And I had to go see him a few times. And it was just weird. Creepy is what I would call it. You know, he'd ask me things, but about, you know, if I was doing sexual sins as 14, 15, 16-year-old. But he would use really coarse, crude language, sailor talk, basically, to tell me what he was talking about, because I just played dumb. Every time I went into one of those, I just played dumb. Even when I was like 18, 19, I just... You know, I'd answer the questions, but my brain was basically turned off. I just said no to everything. And my intention here is not to impugn the whole church, because every organization on earth has bad people in it. I don't care if it's the Red Cross or Shriners Hospital or the Mormon Church or the Catholic Church or any other church on earth. There's bad people, but I think most people are good. I've said that before. And that includes, absolutely, in that church. I know so many good people that would do anything for another human, help who they could. I've said it many times. They do teach really good values. So, boy, it feels 7 minutes feels like I've been talking a lot longer than that. But yeah, so when you go in for those interviews, if it's something really bad, and you confess it, you can be excommunicated and just booted out of the church. I think I've already said it. Excommunication is something that goes back, I believe, hundreds, if not a couple of thousand years. It seems like almost a barbaric practice. You're out, you're not a member, go away. Like I said, I could see where there's cases where that would be justified, but not in most. Anyway, I would love your comments, what you think about that whole subject. You know, if you're in a church that does similar things and you have an opinion on that, I always like hearing opinions from people that have different viewpoints or different backgrounds than me. I think that's healthy and good. I wish more of that happened in the world and in our country. But anyway, yeah, I look forward to that. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for subscribing. I say it all the time. I dig it. I'm having fun. And it's kind of a video diary for myself too. I'm just going to tell stories and anecdotes and experiences I've had. You know, I have a lot of opinions on life in general too that I would really like to get into. You know, just our everyday lives and how we live them and how we treat people, I think is an endless topic. So anyway, till nästa gång, vi snackas igen snart. Till the next time, we'll see you again soon. Thanks for stopping by this time, and I will see you soon. Peace, love.